All right. We'll give some time for people to show up if people want to show up. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining. So, um, what we're working on today is we started making a little level editor last time, and it's pretty good. We've got most of the features we'll need to make the final game in it. So we've got this let me just give a quick demo. We've got this side panel. You can create new things by clicking over there, switching into create mode, and then you can place down tiles or you can remove them. We've also kind of got this brush, which needs a little bit of work, but it just kind of allows you to smoothly paint. See, that's what we can actually fix. We just need to pick the distance properly to make it work where you drag the cursor really fast. Oh, and also undo and redo with the brush would be cool. So we're going to start out fixing up the brush, I think. And then, yeah, you hit F8, and then you're back in the game. And, yeah, then you can hop back into the level editor, change some stuff, hop back into the game. It's pretty good, and, I mean, it's been fun working on it so far. What else do we have? We have, panning, we've got zooming in and out, and you can actually, zoom all the way into, 1 pixel, which is kind of fun. Oh, we've got some keyboard shortcuts, so you can toggle the grid, reset the zoom. What else do we have? You can select these entities from the sidebar with the keyboard. And I mean, other than that, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, and then you can resize stuff. So we've actually got these resize handles. And they work, but actually the entities are just drawing themselves incorrectly, which we could fix. And then in addition to the grid, you've got 2 grid modes. So for this game, sometimes we want the grid to be 8 by 8 pixels, and then other times we want the grid to just be a nice, cleaner 16 by 16. So, we're kind of slowly going through the features that Sprite has and adding what makes sense to this. So let's add some stuff to our to-do list and then get started. So brush, gap, high speed. Let's say wall tessellation, which technically that can be made into like one graphics call, but you take some trade-offs by doing that. So I haven't really thought about like if we want to make that a property of the whole graphics system, because you can actually set your UV coordinates so this would tile, and then that would become one draw call, which might actually be just the right thing to do here. And then brush undo. Okay. So let's start on those in no particular order. We've actually got these print messages, which we can get rid of now. We've also got some Pop-Tarts and some coffee here, so, you know, as we like to say on the stream, it's 9 a.m. somewhere. All right. Let's start out with fixing some of the stuff with the brush. So we've got this like brush mode. And the problem is we're just picking the wrong step value, right? So let's just start to try to see like if this value even makes any sense, because it also needs to change based on our zoom level. So we actually want this diff to be in game space, and then we want to snap the delta to the grid if you are snapping. And now that we're in game space, I think 1 over delta is the correct thing, but let's just see if we get values that seem reasonable. Point. Okay, we get infinity sometimes. That's probably wrong. But 0.3. So if we hop over to speed crunch at a 16 by 16 grid, and we're stepping by 0.13, that's about 2 pixels per step. Sounds believable. I'm also curious what this delta is. Right? Like most of the time it's 0. If you go fast, okay, so that's correct. I think 1 over the delta is the correct t value we want to step by, so we'll just try this. Okay. So we're actually still making some gaps still. Let's just really zoom out, right? Oh, actually that looks almost perfect. So we're sometimes missing like a few things. I don't know, I kind of feel like for most of the time you're not gonna really mess this up. When actually does it mess up? So yeah, if you move really fast with this brush, like sometimes you get a gap. But you know what, this is good enough. And then we want to make sure, yeah, we're only creating one of these at a time. And of course you can still drag everything around. Okay. Maybe we want to just divide this by 2. I feel like something about the grid is probably making this weird because it's trying to step actually slightly less than it should be stepping. Maybe we just print out the iteration count. It is kind of easy to break it. Okay, I guess we don't care that much about this. Like, it is more of a convenience feature. Just being able to, like, smoothly paint. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we maybe just need to divide by delta times the grid. I guess we'll just do that. We also want to snap it to the grid, but like round up, which could be the problem actually, now that I'm looking at it. Okay. I think for now we'll just make a note to come back to this. Okay, so we'll just come back and fix it at some point. And then we want to make erasing sort of fold this branch into this one. Oh, jeez. Oh wait, we're lerping between the wrong points here. And then we're casting screen to game. Let's say like start. We just want to make sure, yeah, snap is rounding. So that's fine. And then if we lerp the start to the end, okay, and then I guess we want to say if we're in create mode and there's nothing under the cursor, do this block. If we're not in create and there is something under the cursor, then we just delete it. So this code path actually handles both. Create entity at point. So that looks pretty good. It'd be cool to maybe have a way to fill this, but you know, for now you just gotta kind of draw it in, which is totally fine. So you want to kind of know how much you created this mode, you know? So we can say like drawn. Maybe we make this a little more specific. Affected by brush. You know, I think we could just say like entity count, like previous entity count. We'll just compare the entity counts. So mouse down, mouse position equal. New entity count is gonna be maybe we want to say like maybe we want to have a thing here that's like, hey, tell me how many are alive. I feel like we can probably just do this. So previous entity count, brush. So now all we need to do is compare those two when you lift up the cursor. I guess it's going to be a brush either way, so we'll just take the absolute value of that. I apologize for the fan noises. It gets a little hot in here. Num-affected, we got rid of that. Num-affected. Okay. So now all we have to do is say, hey, we're doing a brush. No changes to undo. So if we load this, then we do the brush, then we undo. So that's pretty good. cool. Okay, so we got a couple things done there. Brush gap at high speed. I don't really feel like we solved that, but part of the problem is you need to step in the two directions separately. No. I don't know. Something about this is busted. I mean, what if we literally just made step like an insanely low number? This might just tank the game though. Right, but a step value of that, you would really not expect any gap. I mean, that could just be the right thing to do. You know, it works. I guess if we can try to like think about why this is wrong, like we're sampling points from this line, and because we're snapping to a grid, it could actually be the case that we're just not sampling enough points on that line, which is what it kind of seems like. So there's the hacky thing, which is like, hey, just do this. There's the other thing we do, which is to say, you know, at a minimum, we want to do the grid size maybe times 2, and then we just dump step. We'll just kind of see like what values that produces. That looks pretty good. Now the other thing is we maybe need to, no, because we're in game space, so actually that's pretty good. Alright, let's just call this done for now. Put a question mark there. So we got some minor brush improvements. What else do we want to do? I guess for create mode, we can capture, we can make this an entity state. editor state. So we'll just say create one. Here, destroy. We'll just change this name here. So we'll say diff. Say like okay. Let's just check out this create and delete stuff. So if we go into create mode, 1, 2, 3, cool. That's good. What else? We got moving, we got resizing, what kind of? This is always going to be 1, I think, for now. But that's fine. Oh yeah, we've also got copy and paste, cut, copy and paste, which is cool. Okay, what are the next features we want to do? It could be, I want to fix this one bug that we have. So right now, we've got like this panel thing where you can select stuff from. But if you're in the create mode, like it still pushes that click through. So the tool is the last step here, even though it's where we're drawing the UI. Maybe we do want to switch to kind of like an immediate mode UI type thing for this. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff we want to do, but we need to try to prioritize the right next thing. I think I want to draw a little like brush panel on the right side. At some point we're going to come through and like make a more real immediate mode UI type thing. But most of the editor code is actually not going to be immediate mode UI, so it doesn't really matter. And we want to just draw all these like tools. So we'll make a little tool select. So So all we're going to do is, draw these boxes in there and advance the cursor. If we happen to be outside of bounds, we'll shift over a bit. So now tool. Okay, we are drawing them, but actually we need to go out by size. So now we've got that. These rectangles coming in. Then same idea, we'll just make it so that when you click on one of them, swap. And we'll definitely be able to clean up a lot of this stuff, but for now we're just trying to get it working. So we'll say clean up, be replaced with some GUI code. And I think what I want to do, because in the past I've had the immediate mode UI thing be a separate layer from the editor. And while maybe that's nice from like a principles perspective, what winds up happening is now if I want to use this editor, I can't just copy this file. I have to actually import a lot of like the other game concepts of the world. I mean, granted, this editor is already pretty tied to the concept of an entity, but I don't know. And also our window, right? Because we have these like mouse and math and all this stuff. So I just want to try building it in this file and see how that goes. This is just type string stuff, which we don't care about. Although this could be, we could make a string for this. That's fine. We'll just ignore that for now. Okay, so here's all our tools, and if we're hovering, and we just draw this extra border. This is tool. Is hover. Why does it selected compile? It's a little concerning. So now we've got, the tool. You can click to switch your tool. And even though we're not, capturing these click events, it actually works. And I can switch with the keyboard. So that's pretty good. Yeah, not perfect, but good. I guess we could put string labels on these like we have here. Tile, wall. Actually, maybe we just put string labels in the box and call it a day. I was thinking we would have like graphics for those, but we'll just do a similar thing. And we literally just dump the world in here. And then we'll have like a nice function here. Oh. Editor tool. To string. Maybe we want these to also be stringable. I guess while we're here, let's just do it. So we're just doing, our taxes here, basically. C++ doesn't really give you any sort of nice metaprogramming features. So we just do our taxes. We don't want to do our taxes, but, it's just the easiest thing. Oh, okay. So instead of being on hover, which is what we did originally, maybe we just always draw this. Like rect center, bounds. You know, select, create brush. We could also potentially have tooltips for those. Let's see. Okay, so that's pretty much all we need to do for that. So I kind of feel like we're at a fork at this point. Like, either we can kind of go down the path of pulling in an immediate mode UI, and that'll also enable us to make some of these other features, or we could try to just like hack something together for setting entity textures. And then the last thing that would be good to fix is like the wall tessellation. Actually, that brush becomes a lot less useful if you just can tessellate stuff. I kind of want to just make like a little split feature. I think that'd be kind of fun. So the idea is you could like, you know, take something, stretch it out, and then you could do like shift enter. And it would just create the same entity but on each tile square. Maybe a little useless, but I can imagine some cases where that would be helpful. But I mean, you can already just kind of hit the brush here, and you know, it's not quite as perfect. We could actually make shift with the brush working. That would probably just be a nice enough. All right, we're gonna do shift with the brush. Feels like a good compromise. So editor brush. So we're using this last mouse position, and we're gonna just introduce a new thing. That's really all we need to do to implement this feature, which is kind of cool. But basically, if you click and hold shift, then you can draw lines. And we also want to update it when you do click. So we'll do this as well. So now oh wait, what? I guess in the release, we would set it. So, you know, we can quickly fill in a little region. Okay, I wonder if we should make select M instead of A. I keep reaching for M. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break and we'll be back in a bit. I do feel like at this point, not having an immediate mode UI is a significant hindrance. So I'm wondering what like the quick I am GUI thing is here. We don't need text inputs, at least for starters. We could just use this code. We've got like color pickers and stuff. text input. Um, yeah, I guess let's just try to do the simple thing, which would be like some form of just the very, very basics. Maybe we'll just copy and modify it. So we got checkboxes, buttons, slider. Let's just take these. And because we said we wanted to do it all in this file, we'll just do it all in this file. I don't know, maybe we do want to just make a new file. So here's our immediate mode UI. So let's even just see if this compiles at all. We might get some errors, but that's okay. Don't care about text input state. Yeah, we don't care about that. Active element. Do we use this? No. Okay. Let's just draw. This platform. Alright. I mean, it's really basic code, but it might actually get us pretty far. I feel like our other immediate mode UI system kind of suffered from second system syndrome. Like, I don't know. Some of it was like solving the right problems, and some of it was maybe an overcorrection. Like some of this stuff. Definitely using a better hash, which is good. And we had a pretty good state system, actually. I just think it was like a little... There were some concepts that were kind of like confusing. And like, I don't think we ever cleaned them up enough. Hover, click. Yeah, like this activate stuff was weird. I think that was the biggest weird thing. But otherwise, we did a lot of cool stuff here. Like we had scrollable regions, which I mean, you know. And then we had some experiment down here, which... Yeah, I think just some of the stuff was like a little weird. We never really flushed out everything. But mostly everything was pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to take another stab at it. I wasn't totally happy with how everything shook out. So let's take another stab at it by kind of taking mostly what this code was. And I don't know, weird small thing, but I am click is a little nicer than I am GUI click. We did have a way to kind of like make the I am GUI separate from the rest of our app. But what that meant was we had to actually just copy a lot of code. So let's do a simple button. So we should be able to say end frame in this editor somewhere. And then like, you know, draw button. I think one thing that could be cool to experiment with here is just like potentially returning more than just one thing per function. So you could say like if draw button dot click, but I am GUI click, or is focus and keyboard press enter. Capture tab focus. It's fine. this little like button. Where do we do the hover stuff? Does click just do the hover automatically? Because that's definitely weird. Yeah. Well. Could be cool to have like rounded rectangles. It's just really low priority. Alright, and then we'll just say print, click 1. Okay, and then I guess we'll just do like, plus 80. So we do kind of have this like tab focus thing, which is actually pretty cool. And you can hit enter to click them. So yeah. Like our goal is to make these panels just be sort of like immediate mode UI buttons. And I mean button's kind of a weird word because we don't really want to put text in them, but behaviorally it's just a button. We kind of want to know, what's the hover time and active time. We do also kind of have here, like, you've got focus and drag, which maybe we do need focus to be separate, but drag could definitely be called like active. So we'll do that. We need to make these better hashes, that's fine. Hover. What? Oh. So this is time in seconds. So if we want to take it a quarter of a second to hover. But we actually need to clamp this value. So it would be cool to do buttons the way you expect them to work, which is that you have to actually release the mouse on the item. If we press it, we just become focused, but we don't become clicked. Yeah, maybe focus and active do collapse to the same thing. So then we say, well, if active ID is already and mouse released button, then we'll say, okay, now we actually got clicked. Active ID is ID. So we set our active ID, and then we can also get the active time. Is active. This is actually is clicked, which is that final color, but if is active, which is basically just one of these. I don't know. So if we click and release, the button fires. If we click and move away, it does nothing. And then we get a tab focus on both of these, which is pretty good. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is just say like, hey, if we're processing an event, don't like don't do anything with the editor. guess we can call this like IamGUI is active. I don't know what we called it here. I guess we just did active element. Maybe we'll just say like, if IamGUI has active IamGUI.activity is not equal to 0. So all we'll say here is, you know, before we do any of these events, make sure the immediate mode UI is not in use. So we'll just say GUI has active element. Same thing for update. Same thing for end. And oh, actually we're gonna hide the UI if we do this. Right? Yeah, that's kind of weird. Because we're totally turning off all the behavior. I guess really we just care about it in the begin phase. But even then that's like not quite right? It's really when we go to click on stuff only. So I think really what that tells me is we should be using this immediate mode UI system for these buttons. You know? So we just need to define them as IamGUI click rectangles. And we can get the hover state for that kind of. That's why it would be nice to kind of just like abstract this away a bit. So I think what I'm imagining is we'll have like draw button, but then we'll also just have like IamGUI button. And IamGUI button will take a rectangle. Instead of returning a Boolean, I'll just return you some like UI. I don't know. UI item state. I guess UI element state. So this will say bool clicked, hover, focus, and then we could also fill this out with like, you know, hover. Clicked, hover, focus, active. And this actually does start to kind of clean up a bit, right? Because we can just kind of pull this into here. And we can have like a pretty clean result. we're just building the structure. So like result is focused, focused, clicked. Click. And then this really starts to reduce down, which is nice. Like this whole button actually gets a lot simpler, right? Where we can basically say, UI element result. Maybe we do want UI key ID. And we do want this ID here, and then we just kind of say like, well, we could also make it take an ID as a parameter. But then it doesn't really do much. Okay, so then this code literally reduces down to the following thing. We say auto result equals IMGUI button. Then we say this, which is actually really clean. We say if result dot hover and then we just later say return result dot click. Is focus. This would just be result dot focus. Okay. So now we have that abstraction, which I like how it kind of compresses the logic into this piece and then the drawing part into this piece. Because a lot of things are kind of buttons, but most of the time we don't want them to literally look like buttons. So I like that. And then what we can do over here is say, okay, well, we're going to have an IMGUI button, and it's going to be kind of in this bounds here. So same exact thing, where we'll say IMGUI button if result dot click. And we don't even need to do a lot of this stuff now, which is nice. We can literally just kind of compress that. This is the hover situation. And then the selected state is still something our application has to know about, but we can compress that. So that's pretty good. Where is our bug? Oh, okay. So this is going to be like button. So then anytime we go to query for mouse position, we need the editor to like not do anything if we've got these elements. Right. But I kind of feel like I want to wrap it up for now. We made some good progress. I'm feeling myself slow down a bit right now, which probably means I should go to bed. But let's just try to compress this block and then we'll call it a night. Okay, so, you know, same idea. It's still not quite as compressed as I want it to be. So we probably could pull this into like an editor specific thing. But for now, right, you know, you could say like, hey, draw me whatever. Okay, so we'll just do it this way for now. And let's see, compress. This is compressed. Right, that's pretty clean. Okay, so that's good for now. Hopefully when we come back next time we'll have fresher eyes, but you know, I think we're making good progress with the editor. It's getting pretty close to being an actual usable thing, but we're still missing a few components to it, so we'll try to get all those in next time, and then we can ship it. And by ship it, I mean actually start using it to build levels. So, anyway, thank you everyone for coming by, and have fun programming, and see you all next time.